15 minutes. Out and up.
All right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting of the August 10th Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Chair Wilson.
Present.
Vice Chair Kurth.
Here.
Commissioner Huber. Here. Commissioner Porter. Here. Commissioner Dew.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, if you please rise, we'll have the invocation and pledge led by Commissioner Porter and Commissioner Huber. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to live and work in a democratic society and participate in its governance. Please give us the wisdom to make decisions in the best interest of the citizens and the city of Victorville. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, our first order of business is the approval of minutes from our July 13th, 2016 meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Kurth, a second by Commissioner Porter to approve the minutes of the July 13th regular meeting of the Planning Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes have been approved.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. Item number 1 is case PLN 16-10. It is a plan unit development modification to allow for an update to development and amenity standards of plan unit development case PLN 07-00123, also referred to as PUD 09-001. Also requested is a tentative track map time extension to allow for a 3-year time extension of a 319 lot single family residential subdivision. The property, which is 117 gross acres, is located north of State Highway 18, south of Interstate 15, east of an abutting the Mojave River, and west of an abutting Starter Wells Road. The subject case was originally approved in 2009. At that time, the property was rezoned from R2 and R3, which is a multifamily zoning, to a PUD designation, which allows for what you see on the display here is a single-family residential master plan community. The proposed and approved development plan allowed for 5,000 square foot minimum lots, also allowed for single-family dwellings over 1,800 square feet in size. The PUD district is the new zoning. It runs with the land. It does not expire unless the city rezones the property. Before you today, the applicant's just requesting to modify the PUD standards and request a time extension to the map that was previously approved for the 319 lots. The applicant is requesting that we add a requirement to the PUD that would require a clubhouse and swimming pool on phase 2, which is the centralized park area on site. Also, there would be development standard requirements to revise the cul-de-sacs to have pie-shaped lots at the end of these cul-de-sacs. The project was originally slated to have private streets and private parks, so there would be a homeowners association involved that would maintain these amenities. That has not changed. With that, staff finds that the proposal meets development standards of our code and recommends approval. We're available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and open agenda item up, number 1 up to public comment. Just a matter of housekeeping, if you wish to speak to somebody before the Planning Commission this evening, you could please fill out a little white card. I do have one from Mrs. Lee Bennett. Please come up.
Talk at this meeting.
Oh.
Our number one concern, obviously, is our quality of life. It is a senior mobile home park. We all own the homes. It's not a rental outfit. It's been there for, I think, about 60 years. If you're going to build right next to our park, we don't want Section 8 housing. No welfare. We're worried about our safety and our privacy. If they do build, we'd like a wall going from one end of the park all the way to the river to protect our privacy and our safety. I've got a list here. I did not put this list together. Let's see. Where is the water going to come from? An aqueduct, the Colorado River, or the Mojave River, which I understand runs underground, for all of these people. Can Stoddard Wells Road handle all that traffic from all those people? There's another, and the homes, I understand, if you're going to put homes there are 1 or 2 stories. If it's 2 stories and that wall, we think that it's going to affect the circulation of the air. Even though, and there's a mountain on one side, and as I'm sure you all well know, there's kind of a forest on the other side right by that river. And this is a question here that's kind of interesting. It never crossed my mind. If you say you build condos, and can the owners, after they stay there for a year, rent them out so we have riffraff moving in? And safety seems to be our number one concern here. Let's see, solar panels, will they face our way with the glare, more heat generated by them? This never crossed my mind, but the homeless will lose their access to the river. And again, are probably going to be walking through our park and jumping over the back fence, which they do frequently. There are a lot of homeless down there by that river. And will they be removed? Probably. I'll answer my own question. They probably will be. And is Stoddard Wells Road going to be widened? We're going to have to widen it. What a dusty, dirty mess. But I suppose it's inevitable. There is one thing, I don't know if you'd care to tell these people, the developers, but there's a train there. They have to love trains because those trains go 24/7 and they're very noisy and the whistles are very loud. We're used to it now, but it does take some getting used to. It's nerve-shattering, especially the closer you live to the river. And last but not least, wildlife. We have all kinds of critters. Including I've never seen a mountain lion in the area, but I do, and I've seen everything else, including bobcats. Will they have access to the river? What will happen to them? Let's see. This one, will there be a back door on the west property line to access the riverbed? And Stoddard Wells Road may need another signal or stop sign because it's hard to get out of the park at times, even the way it is now. Sometimes we have to wait several minutes because there's a lot of traffic on that road. let's see, if there are children, and there probably will be, the speed limit is going to have to be lower because people treat that like Indianapolis Speedway. Let's see, am I forgetting anything here? Oh, Mr. Mancha did mention the possibility of an industrial park. That's fine with me because they're working during the day and we don't have to listen to boom boxes, partiers, and other annoying types of behavior at night. But we knew it was inevitable. You know, we knew that and accept that. Anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say. My fellow neighbors? Pardon me? Oh, if the whole river catches fire, we probably would have to evacuate. Yeah.
Well, you've posed some very interesting questions, and I honestly don't have answers this evening. This is a map that's already, it's been recorded, it's been approved many years ago, and they're just asking for their extension, which they're allowed to do. I don't believe there's any time frame that I've seen in reading this of when they're projecting to start, other than they're requesting to have a 3-year extension added to their maps, so that the plans and everything that they have in place won't expire and they won't have to start the process all over again. But we do have a list now of all of your questions, and I'm sure as this project moves forward that's the point when a lot of these questions will then be able to be answered for you.
Okay.
So I wish I could tell you something more than that, but I don't want to tell you things that I'm not aware of.
Are a lot of conditions on here?
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I can go through a lot of their comments regarding the wall along the south property line. Our code requires them to construct a solid CMU wall along that, a minimum of 6 feet in height. You mentioned Section 8 or rentals. The city really can't restrict property owners from, allowing themselves to rent to Section 8. However, the development is geared more towards home ownership. It would have a homeowners association and amenities for the residents. As far as traffic, yes, Starter Wells Road would be widened along the frontage. They also have to pay fair share contributions to some other off-site improvements, such as, I believe, the signal at Starter Wells Road and Highway 18. The solar panels, there's state regulations against the city prohibiting homeowners from putting solar panels on rooftops. So unfortunately, we won't be able to restrict that. Noise would be mitigated through current building code requirements. And then this project has a list of several mitigation measures that the property would have to follow as it pertains to protecting the wildlife and mitigating any sensitive species that would be on site. Access to the river, they do have a trail along the river, which is required by the county flood control district. So they can get in there in case there was a flood. They needed to shore up that levee. Also, if they needed to evacuate, there is 3 points of access, which is something that the fire department would require to Starter Wells Road in the event that they had to evacuate the entire development. But we'd also be happy to meet with her, with you, if you have further questions.
And I don't know, I'd like to throw in, I heard one more that hit with me was the 2-story houses next to their development. You didn't really speak to privacy. You were speaking of the winds coming down from the mountain, but privacy-wise, I would think that maybe possibly a limitation on doing single-story along their border would be in order. If that's not conditioned right now, the commission could certainly look at that.
Okay.
Well, my fellow homeowners there at Starred Wells River Ranch, I talked to quite a few of them. They're not here tonight, but the number one concern is that privacy wall for our privacy and our safety. None of us want to have them staring at us, and we don't want to look at them. I mean, it's not that we're unfriendly, but you know what I mean. But as I said before, we've known for a long time this was inevitable. It's beautiful land, I must admit.
I believe you had a question about water too, if there'd be adequate water to provide for
Yeah,
the development.
Where would that come from?
But there's a water system now. There's a water main in Starred Wells Road, and we recently did some upgrades to provide more water from a different location. And also, all developments here are required to have a water feasibility study, so that if there are any upgrades to our water system, they have to be made to serve the development. So the short answer is yes, the water system can serve the development.
When they come in to start building, is the feasibility study?
Well, typically it's done ahead of time. It's done before the project comes to Planning Commission. We determine if it has adequate service for water.
Any other questions?
And Chris, the next time, if this project was to move forward just beyond a map on paper right now with the rights to move forward, if this project did move forward and they said, hey, we want to start building on this, that is another mechanism that's going to come back to the city, come back.
The development plan requires
It's administrative, yes. They would have to come back for a development plan.
We might also want to point out that this is an improvement over what they had approved before.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of there's more amenities and upgrading of the way that the buildings are going to be built.
Yes.
I was just saying that I wanted to point out that the things that they were giving us this time in order to approve a 3-year extension was they've improved the plans substantially, including some of our more recent updates of the way that we want the architecture to look like. And they're going to have really nice amenities. So it's going to be a nice, if it ever goes through, it's going to be a nice development.
When I was talking to Tessa a few days ago, she did mention that Victorville could use a little, say, facelifting. You know, we want it to eventually be considered as classy as Apple Valley. Not that I don't consider Victorville a tacky town at all, but
I understand.
As far as I'm concerned, this is kind of a good start in that direction that you just spoke of. You know, most of the larger tracts around Victorville are not, you know, controlled with amenities, and starting to head towards this direction, you know, that's definitely going to be upgrade on, lack of a better word, control, gated. There's a body of people that look out for their, you know, for the individual properties along with the value of the whole neighborhood. That helps somewhat.
Definitely.
I am glad to hear that.
Yep.
It's also going in phases. There's going to be a number of phases, so it's not going to all of a sudden be a gazillion houses right there. So,
Oh, we did kind of wonder about that, but
No problem. Great. All right. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to agenda item number 1? All right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back to the commission.
I'll move that we find the proposed plan unit development modification and tentative track map time extension does not substantially change the project, and the existing mitigated negative declaration is adequate as adopted, and therefore determine the project to be previously assessed in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act. I also move to adopt Resolution P16022, recommending City Council approval of the planned unit development modification portion of case PLN 1600010, and adopt Resolution P16023, recommending City Council approval of the track map time extension portion of the case.
We have a motion by excuse me, Commissioner Porter, a second by Commissioner Huber, to approve this project as conditioned, approve recommendation to the City Council for approval of the plan unit development and of the extension to the track map. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that will be scheduled for City Council meeting. I'm not sure which one we're going to prep for, but we have to give it sufficient public notice, so.
All right, and moving to agenda item number 2.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. Item number 2 is case DEV 15-8. It is a request to continue this item. It's for a proposed development code amendment to revise the development criteria for residential specific plans and plan unit developments. This continues would allow staff additional time to finalize the draft ordinance for your consideration, hopefully in September, but possibly in October. But currently, we just want you to continue this to September 14th, if possible.
Very good. Any questions? All right, then I'll go ahead and open up public comment for agenda item number 2, if there's anyone wishing to speak to agenda item number 2. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment and make a recommendation to continue this item to our September 14th, 2016 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
I have a motion by Chair Wilson, a second by Commissioner Porter to continue item number 2, DEV 15-0008, to the September 14th Planning Commission meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that will be continued to September 14th.
Very good. All right. In compliance with the Brown Act, it is necessary for the Planning Commission to provide time or make time available for members of the audience to address the Planning Commission on matters that fall before the Planning Commission's jurisdiction. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the Planning Commission? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And presentation of reports by commission members. Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Kurth, Commissioner Dew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. I find it important that when we have individuals addressing public regarding their concerns as relates to quality of life, I think we take that very seriously, and working with developers and those who want to conduct business with the city of Victorville. What is far more important than the image of Victorville is the quality of life, and so I appreciate the comments that were made today. I also want to state that the Olympics are going on, and I've been watching the Olympics like most Americans, and the United States is doing quite well, and it's very impressive and something heartwarming other than presidential campaign talk. So anyway, I just want to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. I just got 2 items. Once again, Public Works came to the rescue in regards to a broken water main not that far from my house. Didn't affect me, but I happened to notice it in the morning, and by the time I went to the corner and came back there, I had a crew there getting it fixed, and by that afternoon when I came home from work, it was all done and water was back on, so congratulations to them and kudos. And also to the quick response of the firefighters, all the different agencies involved with the local wildfire that we've had. I think their actions have prevented some potential worse catastrophe that could have happened out of that. So that's all I've got, and I'll go ahead and close this meeting and hopefully see you guys in September. That's a song, isn't it?